Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 4 of Letters from Senpai. As usual, I am Max, and across the table from me is...
Matt.
Cody.
And our new recurring, or hopefully recurring friend...
Hi.
Buddy, you have to say your name.
My name's Jake.
All right.
And I'm an alcoholic.
It's not a part of the episode, but we're going to roll with it. Okay. So, today on our episode... sip. We have 2 topics to discuss. We have our previously talked about when does fan service go too far, an anime topic, and our new little semi-segment on the show, Expedition Anime, where we try and figure out how to cultivate Jake into a proper weeaboo. So, first up on the table, we're going to do when does fan service go too far? Matt, when do you think fan service goes too far? Where do you draw the line?
Pretty much where I'm drawing the line with fan service is just going to be all around the raunchiness of an anime or a manga where it's going to have ass and tits right out the gate, no holds barred. It's basically an eye catcher for fans, like for people who aren't really hardcore fans, but people who are like, oh, all I want in my manga and anime is tits and ass.
The normies.
Sure.
If I may, I somewhat disagree with Matt.
I did disagree twice, but sure.
I somewhat agree and disagree. My apologies. I believe that if an anime or manga is solely based on fan service, that's totally fine. If that's what the anime is made about.
Yeah, because the show is self-aware. Like, it knows that it's writing itself to sell boobs and butts on statues and shirts.
Yeah, like Kaijo or like High School DxD or High School of the Dead. But shows like Fairy Tail, where at first there's a much deeper plot, and then it's sort of, as the show goes on, it devolves into more of a fan service based anime or manga. I think that starts becoming an issue because you're more so focusing on tits and ass than you are on the actual plot.
Yeah, like, because that's what I was thinking. When the show discards its story and solely focuses on lewd scenes, that's the line. But I understand that shows incorporate these lewd and ecchi scenes to make money. Now each show is obviously different, because not every single show just incorporates it just to make money, but most of them do. So let's look at a show like, we had mentioned earlier, self-aware shows that are solely written for tits and butts the entire way through. And Cody, you had mentioned like High School DxD, High School the Dead, like Queen's Blade, and then you have shows like you had mentioned, Fairy Tail, where it slowly turns into it, but it doesn't start out. One show, a newer show we had talked about in the last episode, was Fire Force, because we had mentioned characters specifically that you can tell from their design that they're there to make money. Now, Cody, I don't know how caught up you are on Fire Force, if you started it at all. Have you seen any of it?
I've watched the first episode and I've read a handful of the chapters. However, I think I know the point you're going to make with the cat character.
Yeah.
That is essentially just Toga, but brunette.
Basic. No, it's Tamaki Kotatsu, and she's the cat one from the first Fire Division that has like the pyrokinetic powers that somehow manifest in the shape of a cat. And if you look up the character and you see her outfit, it's like, okay, from the neck down, from like the neck to like right about the tits, why does she have a bra? They're supposed to be firefighters. Isn't the whole point not to get fucking burned to a crisp? Tits hanging out, first red flag. But I'm like, okay, you know what? Sell what you draw. All right, I can still look.
Could be aesthetic.
Okay, so we're now below the tits. We're now into the stomach, fully exposed. Okay, doesn't make any sense, but I guess it's a tummy fetish.
Maybe she's
hot. I don't know.
Maybe she's a little bit warm, sweating. You know, she has to air out.
But it's constantly. I haven't seen her in a scene where she doesn't have like the full fireman's coat and then this undergarb. Well, it's like basically a bikini. Go ahead, Jake.
Well, here's the thing. So, I learned in human biology class or whatever the fuck it's called, the slimmer the waist, the more attractive it is.
Like, the species in general or specifically humans?
Specifically humans.
Okay, well, at least we have some scientific backup on this. But you look at her, and, all right, now we're down below the waist. It's literally just a bikini with, like, a modified garter belt. There is no reason for her to have this outfit other than to literally be like, boob, boob,
Maybe-
butt, boob.
Maybe her pussy is sweating too much. You don't know.
Yeah, that's
You
definitely...
never know.
Yeah.
You never know if she has to let the queefs out.
I never want to talk to you again.
Screaming.
Okay.
Listen.
Jake, do you have something to say?
Well, you see, another thing that I learned. This one's from psychology, though.
We're getting a mini college lesson.
Human beings can ignore two things,
Okay.
and that is violence and sex.
That's true.
True that.
As the quote says, sex sells.
Yeah. I mean, so the problem that I kind of have with it is, like, is the fan service ruining, like, anime in general? Like, because you look at every season. So when you started watching anime, like, what was, like 3 shows that were on when you were watching? Like, Matt, what were 3 shows on when you were watching anime? Like, when you first started, what were just 3 shows? Just
like
pick
the
3 shows.
the first set of 3 that I got into.
Sure. 3.
For anime, it pretty much was Sailor Moon,
Okay.
Dragon Ball Z,
Okay.
and Gundam Wing.
Sure. All right, Cody, what about you?
I'd say Full Metal Panic, Bleach, and Death Note.
Okay, I know about Bleach a little bit, but I'm not 100% on Full Metal Panic or Death Note. How lewd would you say each one of them are on a scale of 1 to 10?
Death Note didn't really have
Death
wasn't, no?
Death Note was not lewd.
No.
Okay.
Full Metal Panic was... It was goofy.
Was that Full Metal Panic Fumofu?
It's the same thing.
Either or.
Either or. Full Metal Fumofu is just a second or third
Abbreviation?
season. No, it's just like a second or third season.
Oh, okay. So, but go ahead though.
But I mean, there was some fan service, but for the most part, it kind of stayed true to the story and to the character. Well, maybe not to the story, but to the characters itself, and kind of just like
so
operating without.
There wasn't a lot of fan service in the show, but if there was, it was far and few between. If there was any, is what I'm hearing.
Throughout all 3 of the shows, yeah, I'd say that there was very little fan service.
Okay, but like, so when I started watching, like, the first anime I ever watched, I think Inuyasha, Naruto, third one,
Yikes.
whatever. What was the third one? What was like the third show that I really got into?
Pokemon.
No, I don't want to say Yu-Gi-Oh, but
5Ds GX.
I started with GX, and then I watched 5Ds, and then after 5Ds, I kind of dropped out when it became like XYZ summoning and Zexal and
Why is it that Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, like, you want to finish it? You want to finish after saying 5Ds.
5Ds.
Like, you want to say it.
What, 5Ds
like
nuts? Is
double
that what we're going for?
Yeah,
You
like,
can
I
just say
wanna
that.
slide it. I want to.
Cody was talking about like
5Ds.
queefs and it's sweaty pussies like literally 3 minutes ago. I really don't think 5Ds nuts is gonna hurt people.
You missed your shot, buddy.
Rip. Okay.
Make sure to download this on iTunes because it will not last on YouTube.
It's basically it's gonna get pulled. I'm literally waiting
we're
for
on
it.
YouTube, not iTunes.
Don't tell them.
Oh my
All right.
God.
Anyway, so
Welcome to the re-upload.
the re-upload starts right now. All right. So, but like when we were watching, we didn't have shows that had tons of fan service in them. But as we see more shows that keep coming out every season, I don't want to So, I'm trying to think of a good example of this. So let's take a show like, I'm trying to think about like a relatively current show that has lewd scenes in it. Sure. You know what? We'll go with like Asterisk War. And this is mainly something I watched, and I watched it. But a show like that doesn't have to... They evolve. It's weird. It's kind of like a snowball effect. Like you get a beach episode, or you get like a weird bathhouse scene or something, and that's where it all starts. And then it keeps going. And then it keeps going.
And then your mom walks in.
Yeah, and then it's like the 1 10-second scene where her bra's about to fall off, and then your mom's like, "It's time for tendies," and then and you just smash your computer. So, yeah, basically. And it's weird because it's like I don't want to say it's a devolution.
De-evolution.
But it's an evolution because it's changing. But is it a good change? Like why?
I don't think it's a good change at all.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad change, though.
It's not, like, you're right about that. It's not a bad change, but it's also not a good change, because, like, you don't...
Well, why is it not a bad change, though? I'm a little lost on that.
Why is it not a bad change? It's basically...
Sex sells.
Well, besides that...
But it's like, why is that a bad thing, though? Like, why is
the
there
bad
being
part
more
about it
bad?
is it doesn't... we don't know how far, like, shows like this will progress, or, better yet, how many will come out. Or, better yet, will they flood the market?
But it's a constant stream of them!
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, is it even, like, for parents, you know, if any parents let their kids watch anime, you know, do they have to worry about certain animes being too lewd for their kids to see? Like,
Well,
I don't believe most parents know what anime is.
Accurate.
Boomers probably don't know what anime is, not gonna lie.
God, that
Well,
should actually
I
be
think it's
that should be One
situational.
episode that we do is Bill parents on anime.
Boomers on it,
We
talking
get
to
your
talking
mom
to
in here.
talking to boomers about anime. All right, but that's a different episode.
I
Yes.
think it's situational. It because it's different with anime to anime. Because I'll make another example. One Piece.
Sure.
So I've only read 220 chapters of One Piece.
I watched like up till like the end of Dressrosa. So,
But I do know. Correct me if I'm wrong. But after the time skip, Nami went from having flat chest,
no boob,
no boob,
no boob,
to big boob,
big boob,
and only bikini,
and only bikini, boob,
big boob and bra.
boob.
So do you think that could kind of represents it because of like how popular One Piece is, being the
Or are they
number-
aged?
Well, yeah, but it's like if you look at a picture before,
Or how about Usopp going skinny, full muff beef? Like,
he's in that buff after the time skip. He's a little more buff, I'll give you that, but it's
Yeah.
not like he's not like he can just like break
he's
people in
freaking
half.
close. He's not
None
that
of
far
the One
away.
Piece male characters are like aggressively buff.
are that different?
I don't know. Usopp got
Sure. I'll admit he got some
Wildly.
muscle. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
he didn't get muscle, but I'm not gonna say he's like breaking people in half.
I'd say none of One Piece characters after the time skip were that different, except for the female cat, specifically Nami.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty with you on that one, Cody. Like post time skip, it was like boob.
Zoro got an eye patch.
That's true. He didn't get an eye patch. He just got the scar. He didn't even wear an eye patch.
Well,
One of the two.
Luffy also got a scar.
Yeah, he got that
And
X on his shit.
He got the X scar from like the Monkey Island or whatever the fuck.
I don't know.
And
The
then-
Monster Island.
But then Nami, she just fucking, oh boy, she matured.
like I see the picture, Matt. I said he got buff, but he's not like ripped people in half shredded.
he's not
pretty
like
close.
he's not like Jotaro Kujo.
Sure, he's not like bending people.
okay.
in half.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're gonna like size him up against JoJo, you know.
Well, I mean that's irrelevant, but
Crimson
still.
Chin.
Yeah,
I mean, dear God,
Crimson Chin buff.
most of the guys that come from JoJo.
I knew that.
Well,
Crimson
one to three, yes. 4 to 8, straight muscle loss. They just look like average people.
4 to 8 twink.
Bruh.
Which scares the shit out of me. Why they're...
Although I like the characters in 4 to 8 vastly superior than 1 to 3 Fight Me.
I can agree with that.
But that's my thing. Like, not to jump subject, but the whole fact to fan service is basically giving them something that basically is going to sell, regardless whether it's a nude scene or it's something that you know where there's going to be product placement for like toys or models or
Blu-rays.
Yeah,
Blu-rays.
Hey, Gundam.
Because you
that-
censor them. You censor them when they air,
And then
that's how you get them to
Blu-rays
buy the
uncensored.
Blu-rays. Yeah, Blu-rays are uncensored. That's how
I
you get
can't
them to
even
buy
tell
it.
you how many times. Like, I want to say 1 or 2 mangas that I have. I don't know which ones they are, but in the backs they have like commercials.
They have ads.
Well,
Yeah,
because
that's-
okay, so like in Japan, they release these things in like Shonen Jump, which comes out every week.
Yeah.
Every single week. So it makes sense for them to have ads in them for other manga and products. Because it's the same as like when we read a comic book. Like if you picked up has anyone here picked up a comic book within the past like 3 years? Anybody?
I mean, I have.
reads?
Basic. But like Cody, you have. There's always ads in comic books. That's how you sell shit.
Yeah, you
It's
have.
not as effective, but
It's-
it's still how you sell shit.
It's kind of like sponsorships. Like if you look at if you look at, let's take for example Kiss Anime.
Sure.
Pretty widely known like anime streaming site by the masses because it's free and, well, it's popular.
Yeah.
It has a bunch of ads on the sides. It has to do that for ad revenue.
Yeah.
And for just overall sponsorship revenue.
Yeah. But that's sponsorship revenue. When you have like a company, you sell a product and you get back for it. So the ads are just extra on the top. Yeah, that's all the ads serve as. Is more revenue.
I wonder, like, how does that affect, when you look at it that way, how does it affect fans? Like, how does it affect the fan to the, to the anime or to the manga?
Well, so think about it this way. So a current season happens, and let's say there's 5 shows, right? One of them is going to be straight up a fan service show. Hell, you know what? Maybe we'll say there's even more than 5. Let's say there's like 10, right? So a studio makes a show. The show is designed, you want to make a good show, right? So people enjoy it and enjoy your work, so you can pay your animators and your drawers and everything else.
Yeah.
So the show is created for a need of money or a passion project.
Mm-hmm.
They get the money, or they spend the money making the show and continue producing stuff. Advertisement cost money. Hiring people costs money. All the stuff in the industry costs money. So they are now out of money. So how do they make money fast? Well, like we said earlier, sex sells.
Porn.
Yeah, exactly. So you make another show that is designed to make money and sell Blu-rays and figures, just so you can keep this infinite loop going. Because you create the show with a need for money. You spend the money making the show and paying the people. And then you keep going around in a circle because you know what works, which is big titty... Yeah, porn. Porn works. Porn works. That's the whole fucking moral of the story. It's supposed to, like... It's sex sells.
But you could make a counter-argument to the effect that if you make a show or a plot line in a show so good, you don't need sex to sell. Like JoJo's. JoJo's barely has any fan service. Or something like No Game No Life. Although you could argue that No Game No Life has fan service.
There's fan service in that show.
There is fan service, but the main...
It's called a bar.
The main draw factor in No Game No Life is the plot. Is the overall plot, the characters, they're so lovable.
Sure, but that's like a plot hook. That's how you get them into the show. You can apply that to anything.
Right, but if you're using the fact that you need to keep your...
Well, sure, like, you're right. There is diamonds in the rough. Not every single studio does this. And you make a good point, because some shows, you're right, do sustain off of being just a good show. And that's all you need, is it just being a good show.
But my point is that fan service...
But we don't see that as much anymore.
No, and that overall is a bad thing.
See, because there's more of these fan service shows.
Well, that kills creativity. That kills the effort from mangaka and from animation studios to create anime that will impact people like from their plot line and not from their titties.
You're trying to I get what you're saying, because it's like a fish tank. You can step out of the fish tank, you might die, or you might fall into water. Because if you waste this money on a project and people don't like it, dude, you're just shit out of luck. And sure, there's always an ass for every horse. So there's always going to be like a handful of people that like something, whether it's good or not. To them, they like it, and that's all that really matters.
Breaker.
Yeah, but people like Breaker, and sure, not everyone likes it, but the community that does like it is really dedicated to it because it's a good story. And they took that risk, and it paid off. But it's hard for people to take these really serious financial risks, because it's a big commitment to just say, I'm going to go try and write this, really epic saga kind of story. Because if you fall flat, that's money gone, okay? So you failed on a project, so how's that going to look when you go to approach someone else with another idea you have?
Or even to the heads of your corporation.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is like, so so the first idea fails. It's going to be even harder to sell them on idea number 2. Now that they know that your first idea failed. And there's a lot that a company can't predict. They can think that people are going to like a show, but they aren't going to know that people are going to like a show. Because everyone's different. I mean, I may like one thing and not like another. Same with everyone else at this table.
This kind of brings us back to the point that sex sells because if, let's take for example the show that I brought up earlier, No Game No Life, and let's take for example the other show I brought up earlier, and you also brought up briefly earlier, High School DxD.
Yeah.
Now, High School DxD sells infinitely more than No Game No Life. No Game No Life is not as popular as High School DxD. I'm not sure why. However, the point is that sex sells no matter what, and that's kind of a recurring statement throughout this episode, is that if you want consistency in your company and in your revenue, sex sells automatically. As long as you create a sexy character, which kind of justifies my original point that fan service becomes too much for viewers like you and I, or viewers that kind of look at anime on a deeper level than just like, hey, I watch show, I watch like One Piece, or I watch Naruto, or I watch Fairy Tail weekly, just as something to do, not like true deep fans, not weeaboos, basically.
Surface level.
It kind of,
it's like a surface to air missile.
Overall,
yeah,
it's a smarter move for companies because sex does sell, and if you create a story with a sexy with a sexy character, you're gonna want to see that character nude.
Yeah.
You want to see Erza Scarlet after she pulls off like a badass fight with all of her different armor and weapons. You want to see her nude because she has the big titties. She has the slutty armor, right? Okay. So overall, if you create a character that looks sexy and is revealing, people are going to want to see them with less clothes, and overall, you are going to generate more revenue when you reveal that character in a more lewd or slutty fashion. So my overall point is that it's a smart move by companies. However, for fans, for weeaboo fans like myself and the rest of us around this table, except for Jake,
he's a plant. He's a plant. We're growing him.
It's unfortunate, and
well, it's not to say that weeaboos don't like fan service shows. It's just the show, like, you acknowledge that the show is designed for fan service, and if you accept that, then it's cool. But the whole idea was like the shows that incorporate fan service or incorporate these characters solely to make money, and that's when it kind of goes too far. Is when you can blatantly tell that a character is inserted into a show, or the show entirely itself, or not even the show entirely itself. When a character is inserted into a show, and you can tell just by looking at the character that they are there to sell figures and Blu-ray and merchandise to get those animators that money they need, that is what is most important. That is what it was. Matt, it looked like you were trying to say something earlier.
Yeah, no, I was wondering also, how does it affect the male to female viewership of a show, whether it be a show or a manga?
It depends.
But there's infinitely more fan service for dudes than women any day of the week.
Well, that can also be argued because on average you
start separating it. Like
the bisexuality rate for females is higher than men. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but it's just a fact. It's a fact because everyone likes tits and ass.
Sure.
Regardless of if you're a fan of free like Maya Mobley, but excuse me, but regardless of if you like to see dudes jumping into pools like free, or if you like High School DxD, which just has tits, more males and females are going to be drawn to tits and ass.
I get that. I do get that. But I wonder, because I'd like to actually try to run a poll with that, like see what people think. And
what are the poll questions going to be? Or
basically, does fan service affect the female population of viewers and the male, versus the male population?
Maybe it's like the question.
Does it deter them?
That might be a better way to word it.
Watching a show, or does it deter?
Well, you don't know when you look at it. I mean, if you watch previews or something, maybe you can get an idea of what a show is going to be about. But until you ultimately sit down and watch the show,
and that's a funny thing too. Is I wonder how many females watch High School DxD.
Yeah, exactly. Cody even mentioned everyone likes tits and ass.
Yeah,
to some degree.
To some degree, but that's not. Let's just say for a sec that might not be all females.
We're not saying it's all females. It's just like, oh, a lot of people do. Of course, it's not every single person.
Yeah.
My only point was that a lot of a large portion of the female population is bisexual, which would draw them in towards High School DxD or High School of the Dead, because tits and ass is liked by most men and a large majority of women. However, something like Free, not everyone likes to see dude bods, sweaty dudes jumping into pools.
I mean, but there's still gay men who watch anime.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that the population is higher. That are either straight men or bisexual or gay women.
Yeah, but you gotta there has to be a full backup for this. Like, we can't assume or make assumptions that all men or all women, whether straight, gay, or bi, we can't say, oh, okay, well, they all like tits and ass.
Yes, there's a large majority of people who enjoy a partner that has a nice personality, a good soul,
nice assets.
A good conscience.
Yeah, assets.
Yeah, assets.
I mean,
assets.
We all get that. I mean, we definitely all get the idea that assets are amongst to play with, the idea, the thought. But I mean, it's really hard to. It's actually really hard to assume or make assumptions of that nature. But no. With more ideas of fan service, is there any mangas, Cody, that you've read or anything like that actually made you think, hey, this feels kind of like fan service. Like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. Do you know any of them?
Any manga?
I mean, because I think you've read Fire Force a handful.
I've read a handful of chapters, yeah.
So as much as we talked about in the very beginning of this episode, Cat Girl. I swear I'm so bad with names.
Tomoko?
Yeah, the Cat Girl is totally fan service fed, along with the science, the science section of the Fire Force. I think it's like Fire Force Section 5 or something like that. They're a research development team, and she's like, apparently she ends up being like
the tan chick.
Yeah, she ends up being a villain.
That steps on people. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a villain in.
I mean, the fan service in Fire Force isn't really that bad because it's only a couple of characters. It's not like the entire story.
No,
kind of becomes based.
It doesn't
on
flood.
That.
No, it doesn't flood the entire story.
But I can't see. That's the thing with mangaka themselves are more so driven to push their own story.
Mm-hmm.
Because even to make it into Shonen Jump, you have to capture our audience with your story. You can't capture them with tits and ass because you can see a million.
I think there is a
fan
lot of
fiction or like porn drawers that could get
Dojin.
into Shonen. Yeah, Dojin writers that could get into Shonen Jump if that was the case. But anime is different because at that point, it's not the individual writer, it's not the mangaka's decisions that really matter. It's more so the company's decisions that matter because they're trying to please investors. They're trying to please fans, keep fans drawn to bring in more views. Drastically different than the readers of manga, which arguably the readers of manga are more consistent. Possibly not more consistent. Let me rephrase that. They're more what's the word?
Faithful.
Sure. Than the watchers of anime.
Well, it's not. I don't think that's true. Because people can watch it all the way through and like it, and they're very religious about getting up and watching the show, because every Tuesday is My Hero Academy Day, and Friday is JoJo Friday, and Thursday is Bleach Day, and Wednesday is Fire Force Night, or whatever. People can be equally as emphatic about reading as well as watching.
Right, but in my opinion, if you become a fan of a manga rather than an anime, this is gonna sound so elitist, but if you become a fan of a manga, you're infinitely more. I don't want to say you're more of a fan, but you would be more loyal overall to the series.
I just don't think that's true.
It's before really, if you read a manga can be as popular or as.
But I don't think consuming one form of media over the other quantitates you being more committed to a series. Because I can gain the same emotional attachment from watching a show that I could reading a manga. You really liked Evangelion, right?
Oh, I love Evangelion.
You got really connected to it.
Yeah.
But you didn't read it.
No.
But you were still connected to it.
Well, that's different because the anime came out first.
But still, if you read the manga, would it have been any different?
I'm not sure. I haven't read the manga.
So that's what I'm saying. Or someone where, pick another show that you really emphatic.
I've read Fire Force all the way up to, I want to say, 10 or 13. I can't remember exactly. But there's a subtle difference in the anime versus the manga.
But my point is, so you start off reading the manga, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you watched it. Mm-hmm. How many, on average, anime watchers read the manga afterwards? Probably.
Like you're talking about watching then reading?
Yes.
Well, unless they're told to, I wouldn't say a lot. Because...
Exactly.
I don't get what your point is.
A picture is worth 1,000 words.
I don't get what you're trying to say. Liking one or consuming one medium over the other doesn't make you a better fan. Because you can get equally as attached to watching something as you can reading something.
That is true, because I
watched Evangelion too. I thought it was it was very emotional.
Yeah.
Or people like you watched Kimi no Na wa, right?
Yes.
You watched it, and the anime came out after the light novel, but you still watched the anime.
And then I read the light novel.
So you still did it though.
But that's not very common.
You can't prove that.
Yeah. How many people have watched the Harry Potter movies and then read the books?
Like I said, you have to literally ask everyone who's ever consumed Harry Potter.
I could probably say that it's a lot. Because the movies came out before the books. No, after the books. Yeah.
Anyway, I just think you're right. It is elitist sounding to say consuming one medium over the other is something that elevates you. I think you gain the same amount of emotional experience you can from watching as reading, or one over the other.
I think it's what a lot of people do, and this is what I found out. Like if you read something and then go to watch it, it could almost be displeasing, but in anime, it doesn't really turn out like that. I mean, there's slight differences from the animation to the manga.
But if you watch the anime first, you don't notice the differences because you're right. You didn't read all Fire Force and watch all Fire Force. You didn't read all Bleach and watch all Bleach.
Well, I did.
You watched, then you read?
Yeah. The main difference in Bleach between the anime and the manga, which is kind of a case between a lot of anime and manga, is that there was a lot more censorship in the anime. There was a lot.
That should be another topic for a different episode. Is censorship? Is how much really gets cut? But still,
a dub.
But when you watch it, you don't notice the imperfections. Everything appears to you just as it should. When you just start out watching it, it's all that it should be. There's nothing wrong with it, and it doesn't mean just because there is differences between it and the original source material doesn't mean that you can't get as attached to it.
I think we need to make this into another topic for another video because we've already strayed off topic enough.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think the topic for the next episode should be how manga versus anime creates elitism over the other.
True, in the fandom, like a divide. But we're talking about getting attached to manga and anime, so that takes us to our good old second topic of the night, which is Expedition into Anime, where we all recommend and talk about shows that Jake is going to watch as we try and grow him into a proper weeb. So, I think, Jake, what do you like? Name 3 things that you enjoy. Let's go with that.
The Walking Dead.
Okay, go ahead.
I hate you.
Okay. We'll talk about this after. We're going to talk about... No, Jake, you have to come back to the podcast, buddy.
Oh, yeah, they're paying me.
We don't pay you.
Wait, since when?
We pay you in the food we feed you.
So what other what are the topics that you like? What topics do you like? That
2 more topics.
So zombies and
Two
drama,
more
because that's what Walking Dead is. Fight me.
2 more
Okay.
things you like.
BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
I know what BoJack Horseman is. I didn't watch
That's
it.
a Netflix series.
You watched The Wire, right?
Yeah.
And you really
That's a good show.
like cop stuff and cop drama?
Criminal kind of
I'm
criminal
gonna watch-
investigation.
I only like The Wire, mostly because it's based in Baltimore.
Okay, so it's still
It's local.
all right. And you also like music a lot and sound
Oh,
because
yeah.
you play instruments.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. Okay, we have a lot to work with. So Matt, what shows do you like? Just a show or I don't know how. Are you more? Jake, do you want to read or watch something? What are you more willing to do?
Probably watch.
Okay, so let's try and stick to anime. I'm sorry, Cody. I know you read infinitely more than you watch, but still, Matt, what would be an anime do you think that would fall in Jake's interest? Ross, we could do a couple shows each, one show each.
I would say, to be really honest with you, I would say shows like Hunter x Hunter. That would be a good show. Let's see, another one.
But why Hunter x Hunter for Jake?
Hunter x Hunter, it's kind of like in my line of watching anime and stuff like that, I found it to be really relaxing for a person, and I thought about this too a lot today. It's really relaxing for somebody who's never really watched anime because it's not fast-paced. It's not punch you in the face right off the gate where you're like, oh my god, this is so much animation going on right now. It's very subtle, and the storyline builds up over time. It doesn't happen right within 2 or 3 episodes. Suddenly you know what's going on. It's a kind of gradual feed in.
But the problem with Hunter x Hunter is it's like 100+ episodes, like 115.
Although on Matt's point, I will agree that it starts off as your typical shonen. However, as it develops, it kind of unveils more of its plot. Mm-hmm. And towards the middle to end of Hunter x Hunter, it kind of has...
It gets super serious towards the middle of the end.
Well, that's my point being that...
Try not to spoil anything for Jake.
It's very balanced between plot and action, which is what a lot of shonen anime and manga kind of miss. Which I think, in my opinion, Hunter x Hunter does very well.
Okay.
I like that.
However, as was previously stated, it is 144 episodes long.
Oh, really? It's 144?
Yes, which may be a little bit long for some.
Big bite. Big bite.
Big bite.
So, Matt, do you have any other shows that you think would be good?
I know I have one right off the top of my head, too, because it's actually like oh my god, it's like okay, so it basically starts out with a gentleman trying to rent a room. It's right off the tip of my freaking tongue. Name a couple for him.
All right, Cody, you got any?
Find it.
I have one, that being Fully Cooley. You said you like music, right, Jake?
Yeah.
Fully Cooley is all about its music. From the soundtrack, which is god tier, to the overall plot line itself, basically about the search for a guitar, and the main cast, the Haruko, searching for her lost Gibson.
I'm searching for Atomsk, but we can't really say too much without spoiling it. The other good part about Fully Cooley is it's 6 episodes, so literally you could bang it out in one night.
It's very short. You could bang it out in like 3 hours.
And it does fill your need for music. It does have some good music.
It's a good soundtrack.
That was
30-minute episodes?
Yeah.
Like 24.
Yeah, usually they're like 22.
Oh, that's
but they're 22 episodes because the other 8 minutes is ads.
I wish you could watch the original. God, the original was so good.
Original what?
The original of Fully Cooley? The
You
original.
You can still watch it.
Can you?
Yes, there's only ever been there's Fully Cooley, alternative, and progressive. The Fully Cooley was the first one. They released alternative and progressive like last year.
Okay.
It's always ever just been the one until like literally a year ago.
Yeah, it's FLCL.
Yeah. But Matt, did you find that show you were trying to figure out about?
Yeah, Darker Than Black.
Oh, what's that about?
Oh, that show. That's so good.
I never heard of it, so see now I'm also curious.
Darker Than Black is a really good anime that you kind of stumble upon this city where it's like you have the city and then you have this big, huge wall, and you don't know what's happening exactly.
On the other side of the wall?
Yeah, you don't know what happens. And then you meet this guy. He's just a real silent character, kind of just has this grimace look on his face, and then it suddenly starts to explain that, he's trying to do this mission. He's on a mission to basically figure out what happened during the events outside the wall.
Man.
And it just scoops in this whole entire basic run.
So it's like a detective thing where he's trying to
it's real detective. Yeah, it's really off the top detective.
Man.
So
that sounds a lot like Attack on Titan, the manga.
Bruh.
Well, Attack on Titan is like small village.
They're not small village, man. The rings? Are you
a section of the huge rings, that little village, and then bam, a huge creature comes out of nowhere and splits a little girl's head in half. No.
Attack on Titan.
Yeah, no.
That
Attack on
one's
Titan
pretty gnarly.
That seems reminiscent of The Walking Dead.
Sure.
I remember
it's a band of people fighting a common enemy. So I mean, and there's inter group conflict. So it sounds nonsensical, but it kind of lines up.
It kind of is similar to The Walking Dead, and to that degree at least.
People getting ate.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Not bad.
Okay, so I came up with quite the Rolodex of recommendations. So one that I know you've heard about before is Cowboy Bebop. I'm surprised no one else recommended this because it has a really good soundtrack, and I know you like to get deep when you think about stuff, Jake.
Johns.
So Cowboy Bebop. I want Cowboy Bebop to be the Russian adaptation of Cowboy Bebop. Whatever. But it has a really good sound design, and I like Cowboy Bebop because it's an episodic anime instead of it being
they're self-contained.
Yeah, like you can pick up. I think there's only like 2 episodes, and they're like the last 2 that have any form of like overarching piece, other than the fight with Vicious, but you learn that in the first episode. So you can pick them up. You can pick up episode 4 or episode 12, and there's 25 episodes, so it's pretty reasonable. Another recommendation I have is Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. And that's because you had mentioned you watched The Wire, so I already knew that beforehand. So I tried to pick a cool cop show, and this one's also episodic, meaning you can kind of just pick one out of the hat, and you can just roll with it.
Man, you should have picked Psychopaths.
I mean, true, there is also Psychopaths. I mean, we just say that too, but still, I haven't watched Psychopaths enough to give you information on it. I watched enough Ghost in the Shell to do that.
If we had to narrow it down,
we'll do that. Go ahead.
To only one.
We're gotta do more than one, homie.
Probably gonna be 3 per.
You gotta say one per person. We're not saying watch all of them by the next show.
Let's do 1 per person then.
Okay. Wow, this is gonna be hard because I have like 10. Okay. So
Yikes.
Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which is the cool cop show, and since no one else said Cowboy Bebop, that takes a lot of precedence. Our good friend Tristan across the internet always recommends Serial Experiments Lane because it's his deep thoughts show. Power line noise.
Outlaw
Star.
Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star is cool. It's a fun one. I also have Samurai Champloo, which is another sound and music based one that it follows the plot of traveling a band of 2 samurai and basically this normal girl on their quest to find the girl's dad. And they're going throughout Japan on the course to find the Sunflower Man, which is another part of the story. I think you would like Samurai Champloo,
It was
and
the
Cowboy Bebop.
Sunflower Samurai.
Yeah, Sunflower something.
You got to pick one between those two.
I know. Why, I got to list you all of them.
Oh, true. Oh,
I have a list of them. That's what this whole little piece on my notepad is.
Just give him 3.
There's so many good ones.
And then
now.
once he watches those 3, give him another 3.
Bruh. There's also...
You literally torched me and Cody, man. Me and Cody had 2 off the top. You're like, I got 15.
Well, that's almost like I did preparation for the episode. Another good one, if you like dark fantasy, Berserk is always a good one.
Oh, somehow. I knew you were going to say that.
What? It's good!
I have a different suggestion for dark fantasy, actually. And you're not going to expect this out of me at all.
If you say fucking Goblin Slayer, I'm going to reach across the table and backhand the shit out of you.
Not at all, actually.
Okay, let's hear it.
So, speaking of people being eaten, Puella Madoka Magica.
Oh my god.
Because
That's not dark fantasy.
you would be surprised.
How much? Okay, when I mean fantasy, I mean like medieval. I'm not talking about like fantasy world.
Like modern fantasy, you don't mean?
Yeah, like I would find that more of like, yeah, I guess modern fantasy.
Yeah, it would
Because
kind
it's a
of be...
fantasy, yeah, dystopian, I guess.
is it set in the
Kinda.
future?
Not really. It's kind of set in modern times, but it's like kind of like Harry Potter.
Alternate reality.
Yeah, it's alternate reality, kind of like Harry Potter, where it's like your normal everyday world, but then there's a twist. Like there's magical girls, and there's
Oh yeah, you're really gonna go down the rabbit hole now, buddy.
in my opinion, the reason
Magical titties.
why
Oh, not even close. Flat as a board. So if you like
yeah.
any of them, prepare to be demonized
by the entire internet
Well, I mean, not the entire internet.
and everyone in general.
So
Well,
everyone
not a
in
fan
real
service.
Not a fan service,
No.
but it's a dark one. It's interesting if you like dark anime. I said Berserk. Go ahead.
It also kind of Madoka Magica, Puella de Madoka Magica gives you a good kind of overall understanding of anime in general, because there's the magical girl, which Sailor Moon is another very popular magic girl anime. So like Magical Girl Thank you, Jake. But Magical Girl is a very popular genre all among anime, so it kind of gives you like a good understanding of that, but it also gives you a good understanding of seinen and shonen and a lot of other genres in anime. So it's like overall a pretty good anime to have under your belt.
So like nymphs and shit.
Sure. All right. There's always Evangelion because Berserk's on here. Cowboy Bebop.
Thank you for Evangelion.
No problem. All right. So Matt, what is your one show for Jake?
My one show for Jake would definitely be Darker Than Black.
Okay.
If he can get a hold of it. I don't know if a streaming service...
Kiss Anime, we mentioned it earlier. It's a legal Russian server, and they have literally everything.
Kissanime.ru.
.ru, Russian servers.
Should we be listing that in the show?
The one that I use, the illegal anime streaming service, is 9anime.to.
Okay, so Matt...
This has been Letters from Senpai, sponsored by...
all these illegal Russian shows.
Russian shows
Russian
and everything.
servers, whatever. All right.
Brought to you by
Matt,
Russian PBS.
Darker Than Black. Cody, what do we got?
We're bots.
One show.
One show.
You have to pick one because Jake doesn't want 50.
Let it be Sailor Moon. Jesus Christ,
No.
he needs to go
Fucking
back.
Sailor Moon.
Sorry, not 600 fucking episodes, buddy.
God, Sailor Moon in the 2000 spin-offs. And the
Basically.
2000 episode, second seasons.
I'm gonna fuck. As much as I love Evangelion and Madoka Magica, I have to go with Fully Cooley just because it's short, and that will be appealing to someone who's never watched anime. And plus, you are a fan of music, and Fully Cooley is literally all about music, from start to finish. The plot and the soundtrack itself, amazing.
Okay,
And music based.
so mine, it's a tough call, but I think that you would like... Jeez, this is tough. Because I really like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo and Ghost in the Shell.
I'd give him Samurai Champloo.
Really?
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, Cowboy Bebop's also a classic, but you can also find Cowboy Bebop everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
Cowboy
literally
Bebop's
everywhere.
everywhere.
You can also
Samurai
find Samurai
Champloo is
Champloo.
very hard to come across.
It's not hard, Because you can get it on like Hulu. It's not too bad.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, really, it should be between Ghost in the Shell and Cowboy Bebop because those are arguably some of the most classic non-shonen anime.
Sure. All right, I'm going to go with Cowboy Bebop because it's got really good sound design. The characters are very well written. It's not terribly long. It's longer. It's only 25 episodes, but you don't have to watch them all in one go. You can pick a handful of episodes and watch them.
Which is the positive about Cowboy Bebop, especially for someone who is new to anime, is that you can pick an episode, watch it, and then the next day or the next week or the next 2 weeks, you could pick another anime and completely forget about the plot line of Cowboy Bebop, and you'd be completely fine.
Okay, so I think that's all of our recommendations, and I think that's going to wrap up episode 4 of Letters from Senpai. Jake, do you have any closing remarks?
So Cowboy Bebop,
Yes.
a shade darker,
Darker than
Darker
Black. You know, we'll write it down for you.
darker
We'll
than
text
black,
it to you.
50 Shades of Grey.
and
No.
ShamWow.
Yeah, you got it. Fully cool.
Yeah, and the ShamWow app. Okay, and Fully Coolly. So, next, we're going to do this probably every 2 episodes, because it's hard. I don't know. Do you think you can crank out, like, 2 episodes per show by Wednesday? It's Sunday.
Yeah,
You
just
have to watch
rotate.
Yeah, you just watch 2 episodes
Of each anime?
of each show by Wednesday. So if you can get that, good. Anyway, so
Well, this has been our show.
I am Max.
I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
Hi.
And that's Jake. This
We will
is
catch y'all
next
in
time
another
on
episode.
Letters from Senpai.
Bye.